China and Japan are engaged in attempts to repair soured relations over a maritime territorial dispute, with Japan asking for the lifting of a block on rare earths exports crucial to its high-tech manufacturing.
Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao and Prime Minister Naoto Kan both attended talks during the ASEAN Plus 3 summit in the Vietnamese capital of Hanoi on Friday. Earlier, China's Foreign Minister Yang Jiechi and his Japanese counterpart Seiji Maehara went into private talks on the sidelines of the summit, smoothing the way for a meeting between Wen and Kan. Southeast Asian nations, meanwhile, are welcoming the United States into their club, a move seen as bringing a counterweight to China following a series of aggressive maritime moves by Beijing. The 10-member Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, will formally invite the US and Russia to join their annual East Asian Summit on Saturday in the Vietnamese capital. Southeast Asian nations have become increasingly rattled in recent months following a series of territorial spats involving China, including run-ins with Vietnam and the row with Japan. China has strongly pushed to keep territorial disputes over islands in the South China Sea out of talks held by ASEAN, preferring instead to deal with clashes one-on-one. But the smaller countries have refused to back down. China has laid claims to strategically placed and potentially oil-rich islands in the South China Sea, but parts of the territory are also claimed by several Southeast Asian countries, including Vietnam. The East Asian grouping comprises the Southeast Asian countries along with 6 others including India, Australia and Japan. Analysts suggest many nations are unnerved by China's accruing power and its more assertive behavior, and are turning to the US to moderate but not squeeze out China. The US has urged China to work with its neighbors to ease tensions over territorial disputes in the East and South China Seas. US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is to meet Saturday on China's Hainan Island with State Councilor Dai Bingguo, a last-minute addition to her itinerary to press that message. Meanwhile, Japan and China have sought to repair ties brought to a new low after a Chinese fishing trawler collided with Japanese patrol boats last month near disputed islands in the East China Sea. Tensions have remained high despite Japan's release of the boat captain, with anti-Japanese protests flaring up in the cities across China. Japan has asked China to unblock the export of rare earths and reopen talks on the joint development of gas fields in the East China Sea. Following hour-long talks on Friday with his Chinese counterpart, Japan's foreign minister told reporters that China responded that it would consider both requests. Beijing suspended the gas-fueled talks during the spat but has denied blocking rare earth exports despite reports from Japanese companies that the exports have been frozen since the dispute flared up in last September.
Afghan militia fighters were secretly flown to Australia to train with its special forces, Australia's defense chief confirmed on Friday. 6 fighters allied to warlord Matiullah Khan trained last week at Australian bases to strengthen military operations against the Taliban, said Air Marshal Angus Houston, the head of the Australian Defence Force. The training was first reported by the Sydney Morning Herald. The Australian officers are to be deployed to Afghanistan, where Australia has 1,550 troops based in the southern province of Uruzgan. The newspaper reported that the Afghan fighters were shown combat training displays at base in South Australia state and on Sydney's outskirts. Further details haven't been disclosed. On Indonesia's main island of Java, volcano erupts 5 more times on Friday, sending searing clouds of ash cascading down its slopes, but no casualties were reported. However, the eruption of this volcano killed 33 people this week.
After a day that allowed mourners to hold a mass burial for victims, Mount Merapi started rumbling again on Thursday, with 3 small eruptions and 5 more on Friday, easing pressure and possibly making another big eruption less likely. There were no reports of new injuries or damage. The activity appeared to be easing pressure behind the lava dome that has formed in the crater, according to a scientist who has been monitoring Merapi for 15 years. Residents from several villages that were devastated in the Tuesday's blast crammed into evacuee camps. Hundreds of the elderly and children were moved from villages near the slopes of Mount Merapi, where they were placed in government buildings and tents prepared by local officials. Officials also brought cows, buffalo and goats down the mountain so that villagers wouldn't try to go home to check on their livestock. On Thursday, thousands attended a mass burial for 26 of the victims 6 miles from the base of the volcano. Family and friends wept and hugged one another as the bodies were lowered into the grave in rows. The latest rumblings of Mount Merapi, which has tallied 33 deaths since it sprang back into life on Tuesday, come as rescuers cope with the rise in death toll from a tsunami in another part of the sprawling nation. The catastrophes struck within 24 hours in different parts of seismically active country severely tested Indonesia's emergency response network. Along with those killed by the volcano, the number of dead from Indonesia's twin disasters this week has now reached 441. There are more than 129 active volcanoes to watch in Indonesia, which has spread across 17,500 islands and is prone to eruptions and earthquakes because of its location within the so-called Ring of Fire, a series of fault lines stretching from the Western Hemisphere through Japan and Southeast Asia. The most recent was Mount Sinabang in North Sumatra province. It had been dormant for 4 centuries before springing into life in August, but has since quitted and refugees from its slopes have returned home.
The Maldivian government has strongly condemned the actions of staff members of Willow Reef Resort who mocked and insulted a couple who were renewing their wedding vows at the resort. A video of the incident appeared on YouTube earlier this week. While it appears to be an isolated incident, the government is horrified and disgusted by the behavior of those responsible and is launching a full-scale investigation into what happened. The police have also been informed. The government is taking this extremely seriously and apologizes to the guests involved and anyone who may have been offended by the incident. The government also stresses that no stone will be left unturned to ensure that an incident like this never happens again. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Maldives today issued the following statement, also issued a statement regarding the issue. The statements read as follows. The government of the Republic of Maldives is shocked and saddened by the behavior of certain members of staff at Willow Reef Resort who conduct a renewal of vows ceremony during which 2 visitors to the Maldives were insulted and humiliated. The event was captured on video and subsequently uploaded onto the video sharing site YouTube. The Maldives is a world-class tourist destination famed for its warm welcome and excellent customer service. Episodes such as that captured on video have no place in our tourism industry or in our society more broadly and are aligned to our cultural and religious values. The Maldives is grateful that the couple in question chose to renew their vows in one of our resorts, and we cannot escape the fact that on this occasion, because of the disrespectful and unacceptable actions of a few individuals, we have let them down. The Foreign Ministry will also be writing to our counterparts in Switzerland to offer our intense regret and to indicate the steps that the government is taking to deal with the situation. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture today condemned the actions of members of staff at Willow Reef Beach and Spa Resort who conducted renewal of vows ceremony during which 2 visitors to the Maldives were insulted and humiliated. The event was captured on video and subsequently uploaded onto the video sharing site YouTube. The Tourism Ministry said such. The ministry also stated that it will work with the resort in question to ensure that the couple receives full compensation for any distress caused. The ministry also promised to work with the resort and the Maldives Police Service to ensure that the incident is thoroughly investigated and those found guilty of wrongdoing are held into account. The ministry noted that the Maldives is famous as a world-class tourist destination known for its warm welcome and excellent customer service. Episodes such as the captured on video have no place in the Maldives and are not in any way representative of the holiday experience enjoyed by thousands of visitors each year. The ministry also promised to immediately hold talks with the Maldives tourism industry in order to seek assurances that this was an isolated incident. The ministry made clear that if it does not receive such a reassurance, it reserves the right to take all remedial steps necessary, legislative or otherwise, to ensure that episodes such that which occurred in Willow Reef Resort never happened again and do not tarnish the positive image of the country built up over so many years. Tourism Employees Association also condemned the incident at Willow Reef Island Resort. President of the association, Ahmad Isa, cited that it is a shameful and disgraceful event which should be investigated. He said the impact of this incident on tourism industry should also be measured. Ahmad Isa assured that Tourism Employees Association will provide any assistance needed by the authorities to make sure such act is never repeated. Maldives Association of Travel Agents and Tour Operators and Maldives Association of Tourism Industry also issued a statement condemning the incident.